And welcome back to the Loud Minds podcast. I'm your host, Tom, joined by Lovin Rao.
What up?
And Adi is still on his vacation, but let's move on. So, Lovin, how has your week been?
Very tiring. There's a lot of assignments, even though it's supposed to be Deepavali week off.
But did you guys have holiday?
We had, well, technically it's a holiday, but they disguise it as a holiday to make it look like we have a holiday, but it's actually just a week where we have a lot of assignments.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of
Well,
sucks.
well, to all our Indian listeners, happy belated Deepavali. So, recently there's been a lot going on around social media, right? So, like, I think a couple of weeks back, Donald Trump announced that he will be launching his own social media platform called Truth Social because he was banned from Twitter and I think Facebook. So, he's gonna create that app. What do you think
Yeah.
about
I mean, I wish I was that rich where if I have a problem, I can just make my own website, my own social media.
it? I mean, we don't have much input about it, but basically, it's like for his own supporters, and he's
Yeah.
gonna like do some political debates because his Twitter handle is banned.
Yeah. I think that's pretty I don't know. Do you think it'll become popular?
It's gonna be popular only among his supporters,
Yeah, which
right?
is still quite a large amount of people.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically Twitter, but not Twitter, just
That
for Donald Trump.
I think is a bit scary considering that, it's already that a lot of Trump supporters, not all, but a lot of Trump supporters, a lot of supporters in general, tend to be very, they tend to only look at what's in front of them instead
Hmm.
of the whole picture. So now that they are, there's a social media site built literally for people like them, they're going to be more
Yeah.
close-minded. So I don't know, that's a bit worrying, but I'm not too scared. I don't think it's going to lift off too much because there's already a lot of other social media sites which basically do what um the what's it called, the social circle,
Truth.
the
Yeah,
truth
yeah.
the truth social, right? It's like there's already a bunch of social media sites doing what truth social is going to do, but way
Hmm.
more better and way more like well known and trustworthy.
Yeah, I just see it's basically a political platform, just to discuss the politics going on. Because, Trump, he likes to point out some stuff that's not going
Yeah.
right in the current government.
Yeah.
Speaking of social media, in this past week, have created a public Instagram page for my photography. So,
You have?
yeah,
Oh
I,
shit, man, I didn't notice.
yeah, I haven't told anyone yet because I just want to, grow it first and then like advertise it because I haven't got a lot of time like thinking about it, but slowly I want to, grow it because I feel photography is like my passion. So maybe do something with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
But right now, what's trending, like the breaking news, is that Mark Zuckerberg announced that Facebook will be rebranded into Meta. So if you guys don't know, Meta is a company that is basically looking up into next generation technology for the future. So Mark Zuckerberg basically said that in the next probably 5 to 10 years, the technology is going to be more advanced, and they want to make social media more virtual. So basically, like you get
Yeah.
virtual goggles, and you can meet up your friends in the virtual reality. What do you
Yeah.
think about that?
I think, okay, from a social standpoint, a lot of people hate Mark Zuckerberg, right? For good
Yeah.
reasons. I will get into that later, maybe. But from a technological standpoint, from like a developing standpoint, I think this is pretty cool, right?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
I mean, it's a bit scary that the whole world, like, I think we talked about this in one of our previous episodes, like AI,
Yeah.
right? Where the world is becoming more and more integrated into technology, and it's a bit scary how much we are depending on technology. but
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, I find it a little bit cool because you're able to, like what Mark Zuckerberg said, you're able to be what's it called, connect with people from the other corners of the globe, right? From, let's say you are in Scotland, I'm in like Malaysia, we can still technically see each other, and if things go well, it will feel very real.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I think that's very cool, personally, man. What do you think, Tom? Are you scared? Are you happy? Are you even bothered, Tom? Do you care?
I mean, it shows, it is scary to the point where you don't know where this is gonna go. Like, it's very uncertain because like, there can be a lot of privacy issues, right? Because
Yeah,
right now we already have like apps and social media where you can connect with other people, basically strangers. But now, if you get to meet with them like in a virtual form, they know how you look like. There are a lot of concerns with privacy, and
yeah,
I saw a video where this guy was basically saying how Facebook or Meta could get money out of you. Like, let's say you want to go into like this virtual world, probably with your friends,
yeah,
and you got to pay for that, right?
yeah,
And sometimes if you don't pay, you just all of a sudden get ads. Like if you don't get their premium membership or something, you get ads. So
yeah.
this.
I I
Yeah,
think, I mean, it makes sense though. Like if you want, like how if you want to buy a game, you need to pay money, right? You don't get it for free.
imagine that you're in this virtual world, you don't have a premium membership, and all of a sudden you've got ads just coming right up in your face.
Yeah, I mean, fair, right? Like that happens in like the our current world of technology. It makes sense to happen. Like from a business aspect, this is how Meta, not Facebook, this is how Meta makes their money. This is how they make their income. They can't make everything free. Overall, the experience is free, but if you want a much more quality experience, you have to pay more. For example, like YouTube is a good example. YouTube, the
Mhm.
videos will have ads, but if you pay more, you can get rid of that ads.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I
yeah,
think Meta will do something like that. Meta plans on, from what I've heard, from what I've read online, Meta plans on doing something like a virtual world, like everything. It's called a metaverse, right?
yeah,
Like the movie Ready Player One.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, face a Meta. I keep on getting confused with Meta and Facebook. I need to get used to this.
Yeah, it's all right.
Meta plans on doing something like Ready Player One, a whole world which you can access, like a completely different planet where you can do anything you want from that, from like your Oculus Rift, right? Because they own this thing called Oculus. They plan on doing
Yeah.
everything VR. I
Hmm.
and honestly, I think that's very cool. I think it is a bit dangerous, but YOLO, man. You only live once. Have a bit of danger in your life.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting that something like this is coming up, especially
Yeah.
from a company like Facebook.
Yeah,
I
I
honestly
think
never expected someone like Facebook to become like this.
I think people aren't scared of the fact that they're doing something like this. I think they're scared of the company itself, right? Facebook, Meta, right?
Yeah.
Because they have been known for very major lawsuits, very major like privacy scandals, right? There's something called
Hmm.
the recently happened. It's called the Cambridge Analytica,
Yeah.
where like they improper, like non-ethically improperly obtained data from like 87 million, I think around 87 million users, and then they gave it to this company so they can advertise to them, right?
Hmm.
They had a lot of problems with like I think 2018 or 19, they got a
Yeah.
penalty for 5 billion. They had to pay 5 billion US dollars because they were breaching user privacy laws. So
Yeah.
it's so so this is just Facebook at its current like status, right? This is Facebook currently. So in like 5 years, when the metaverse is like an actual thing, that's going to be more scary because like people are
Hmm.
going to be more dependent on it because you're able to like from the advertisement I saw on the metaverse or from the talk Mark Zuckerberg did on metaverse, you're able to even do surfing on it. So imagine all the other weird things you can do. So it's a bit scary because there's definitely going to be less privacy on the user. And given Facebook's history with user privacy, I feel like there's going to be a lot of problems on that front.
Yeah, it all depends on the extent the company goes to, because
Yeah,
they also have to meet public demand. So if
yeah,
public wants more, something more exciting, so it all goes out of control.
yeah. I think Facebook has always had a problem with like ethic issues and all that, right? They always put money before the people. That is one of the main problems.
True. But
Yeah,
most businesses do put
yeah,
money
they
before
do, they
people
do.
there.
That is true. It's just the only difference is Facebook is at a pedestal. Everyone knows Facebook. Not everyone knows like these smaller businesses. That's
Yeah.
called out more. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
one of the main reasons why they changed the name in the first place, because there's no reason why Facebook needed to change their name. In fact, it's quite a risky decision for a multi-billion dollar like company to change its name at this peak, at such a high level. Because big companies which tend to change their name, tend to change their logo at such a high level, like is very disastrous to them, right? Like I think one time Tropicana changed their
Mm-hmm.
logo, not even the name, they changed their logo, and their stock prices went down, man. They lost a lot of money. They had to go back to their old logo. I think it's Tropicana if I'm not mistaken. So
Was it
I think,
Tropicana or was it Pringles?
was it Pringles? I'm not. Pringles recently also had that problem, but it didn't
Yeah.
seem to be that. It affected them a little bit, but not too much. Like they're able to bounce back. I just think they're changing the name to sort of escape like Facebook, because they're not trying to like. I think their idea is that they don't want to carry the same problems Facebook had into Metaverse. So they changed their name to Meta, so they can sort of seem like, oh, we're a brand new company, even though it's not. It's just Facebook with a disguise, because nothing changes really. It's the same
Yeah.
company just with a different name.
Yeah, and also I think it is more appropriate that they had to change name, because Facebook, it's now already implemented that the idea is something as a social media app, whereas when you change
Yeah,
it to Meta, Meta's much a broader range, so
yeah,
it gives you the idea on what they're actually going to bring up, something virtual where people can connect virtually, from different parts of the world
yeah,
rather than just through like Facebook posts or whatever.
yeah. I think it's cool. I think people are excited for the idea. They're just not excited that the fact Facebook is doing it. I feel like if it was
Yeah.
other like company which is more
Mm-hmm.
well trusted, which has less legal problems, people will be like much more excited, much more supportive of this. It's just that since it's Facebook, people are they're questioning it.
Yeah,
Because
that
of
is
the user
true.
because of the user privacy. What do you think of the user privacy, Tom? As we are starting to get less and less privacy as we are going forward towards more integrated technology.
User privacy, well, yeah, it is becoming much more of a risk. Now there are people who a small picture of your face can be morphed and can be used for different reasons. Like,
Yeah,
for example, when you go, like, this probably would need a lot of identification, like maybe your retina scan or,
mm,
Face ID. So all that can be integrated probably from this virtual reality. I mean, now
mm,
that since you're developing into this new stage called a metaverse, there would be definitely people who would improve their own knowledge on this type of technology so that
yeah,
they can cause identity thefts, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
like you meet scammers on apps like
yeah,
Discord and Facebook itself. Imagine you meet like online gamers, for example, in the metaverse, and then you become close to them because you feel like you know them more personally, because you're basically seeing them each other. You feel
yeah,
a more better connection, but that's also much more dangerous.
yeah. So yeah, looking from a more like niche standard, like scams and all that. But what I was thinking on, cause like like the biggest problem is the company Meta taking your information and selling them to companies so that they can produce advertisements catered towards you. Like if you notice, Tom, you go to YouTube, you look at the advertisements, they're always somewhat related to you. For example, let's say you searched for Honda, right? You search for cars on
Mm,
Google, and on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, you'll notice there are ads directed towards like cars,
yeah.
right? Because that's how advertisement works. So what I think people are scared of is how far they'll go, because there's some things which are very sensitive information which people do not want to, share with. Like one example is like your race, right? For
Mm-hmm.
example, there are some companies which do not want to support or promote or advertise to certain races of people, right? Which is quite a big problem right now.
Mm-hmm.
So what someone like Meta can do, I'm not saying that they will do it, I'm just saying it is possible for them to check on what race this person is and then sell that information to companies, and then can cause a huge ethics problem. That is
Yeah.
what I'm scared of. Like how far are you, like you as an individual, Tom, how far are you willing to give away your privacy till they are like, okay, that's a stop, I don't want to give any more information about myself, right?
Yeah, I mean, up till now, even I don't even have Facebook, so that's how I don't really
I mean,
trust the.
yeah, to be
Yeah,
fair, I have Facebook, but I never use it. I'm young, man. I use Instagram. This is
yeah,
Facebook's for old people.
and after I've also read through all the privacy issues, I was thinking, it's not worth installing Facebook because, and now it's not that big of a popularity. I think Instagram is much more popular.
Yeah,
Uh, but it makes sense why Facebook wants to take this totally different path, to gain back those that popularity. But still, with the previous privacy issues they've had, people are still scared, and maybe they this wouldn't even work out, right? The metaverse, it's a cool idea, but because of who's behind it, people would take a step back and think whether they should really do it
yeah. I
because.
I, I disagree, Tom. Like, okay, people hate, like, for some odd reason people hate Elon Musk, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yet Tesla is still super popular. It's one of the biggest car brands right now. Same thing with Facebook. People hate Mark Zuckerberg, right? People hate like the idea. But how much people use Instagram? How much people use WhatsApp? How much people use Facebook? They are all owned by Facebook, now Meta, but still people use them. It's a lot of people like do this. They are unwilling to risk their comfort to do to like embetter the world, embetter themselves, right? For example, a
Yeah.
lot of people, they're against child labor, right? But then
Mm-hmm.
they buy like phones from companies which benefit off child labor, right? They maybe get clothes where like like children have to sew those clothes, but they still buy it even though they say they don't support it, right? I think people
Mm-hmm.
are not willing to risk their comfort, even if it means doing something good for society, something good for themselves, or something good for the world. So I think even though a lot of people are saying like, "Oh, this is wrong, this is bad," I think the whole metaverse will still be quite popular.
Yeah, true. But in case if there somehow a privacy issue that occurs with the metaverse, the idea, and if like a lot of people are going through a terrible time with the privacy issues, like for example, if there's a lot of identity theft, I
Yeah,
think it would be quite a big problem to
yeah,
solve
I agree.
for a company like Meta,
Yeah,
because it's a whole different what do you say, platform. It's not just an app, it's
yeah.
basically
It's a
virtual
world.
reality. Yeah, it's a
It's
world.
a whole new world.
Yes.
Yeah. There are going to be big consequences, but they'll also have more money to just throw at the problems, right?
Hmm.
That's the problem. There's too much value in money nowadays. You're able to just fix a lot. Like what, they had a privacy issue, and then they had to pay 5 billion, a 5 billion penalty. Who cares,
Yeah.
bro? It's 5 billion. They are like what, $1 trillion company, if I'm not mistaken.
They're gonna make it up anyhow.
Yeah, exactly. It's 5 billion. They can make that up in like a month, a day, even. I'm not even sure how much Facebook makes. I'm pretty sure they make like 10 billion at least a month, at least. Okay, maybe I'm over exaggerating. Don't take my word from it. Don't take my word, because I do not know. I'm just saying that it's very easy for them to just look at a problem and throw money at it and then move on, because they already have an influx of money. They have an insane amount of money. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think it comes down. It's what's it called? Don't blame the game. Blame the player. Is it?
Blame the player. Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah. It all depends on the people who
yeah,
are you know
cause
going for it.
we can keep on complaining and being like, hey, this is wrong, this is bad, we shouldn't support this. But if you are saying that and then you're continuing to use Facebook, you're continuing to use Instagram, you're continuing to use this metaverse in the future,
Mm-hmm.
then like you're part of the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we should really change our outlook. For example, a lot of people, they love animals but then they still eat animals,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I love
Yeah.
animals but I still eat them.
Yeah.
That's like it's like the same scenario but in a much more bigger scale, right? This metaverse.
Yeah. True. But I think the idea of Meta can is gonna benefit a lot in terms of technology. Imagine,
Yeah,
other companies, trying to compete. They would have other items come up or other platforms, other apps that could, help you a lot. For example, in this virtual world, you could do something for example, let's say you want to build a car, right? And you don't know what's the problem. You have a virtual car to go in and
yeah, that's
investigate
actually,
the
yeah, that's
problem.
pretty smart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so companies like that, they do benefit from this idea of Meta,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So I see this is gonna go in a really great way. It's gonna be beneficial. I
Mm.
think that's basically the internet and the media that's gonna cause a lot of hate.
No, I think technology wise it's going to be amazing, right? We're going to be moving so much more quicker with technology if this metaverse does like work
Hmm.
out. But from a societal aspect, it is going to be a bit of a problem, depend because
Yeah.
of Facebook's history on privacy. Because that's the main problem people have with Facebook right now is privacy. They don't feel safe like they used to online, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think overall, with bad, there is good. So even though yes, there's a lot of bad things with metaverse, there will be some good things coming out of it. For example, like Tom saying, with car repairs, I think a blueprints for architecture is going to be so much more in depth, which means a lesser chance of like errors, lesser chance of like buildings collapsing or structural failures.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, like imagine you want to build your own house and you get like this architect designer. And now I think Meta is also going to allow you to design your own virtual reality, right?
yeah,
So basically you get whatever is your thought on this house, you can
yeah,
basically build it up and say to the architect, this is what I want, you know, just put it into the real world. So there's gonna be a lot of benefits.
mm.
And I just read this comment of a YouTube video where it says, let's say for your birthday party, you go into this metaverse and you celebrate everyone. Once you take off your VR goggles, you realize you're all alone. You have no one around you.
It's very depressing, Tom. I'm not gonna lie.
Because I mean, you have like all this fun, and then you just take off your
Yeah,
glass and you're all alone. It's just a dark room.
yeah. That's why I say from a social standpoint, I think it's gonna affect us quite a lot in a negative way. I think
Yeah, and
I think basically um, the metaverse we won't know if it's gonna bring. There is gonna be good. There is gonna be bad. We just don't know how much good and how much bad the metaverse is gonna bring until it actually comes out.
mhm.
Yeah. So
and
hopefully it's
also
more good than bad.
if And also, if you're using like VR goggles, people now, the actual VR companies, they are actually going through like a tough time because a lot of users who use like VR goggles, they complain of like, eye damage and eye pain.
Yeah.
But the recommended time to use is for like about 20 to 30 minutes, right? Because
Yeah.
you're having something that close to your eyes.
Yeah.
It will be interesting how their approach is on that, right?
Yeah. True. Have you ever used VR before, Tom?
I think once when it was like basically you sit on like this chair and it
Yeah.
basically takes like this helicopter ride or something like that.
Yeah.
But my eyes came out hurting. It was really it was painful.
Overall,
Uh,
would you consider it like a oh my god, this is an amazing experience, or like, it's all right?
It depends. Well, if for something where you can alter, like what people are talking about with Meta, where you can alter the things
Yeah,
around surrounding in virtual reality, that is fun.
yeah,
But
yeah.
that probably maybe you've experienced in real life and you do it virtually. It's
But
just
like currently, in like your experience with VR, would you say it was a very exciting experience, or would you say like you were underwhelmed by the experience?
I was excited,
Uh,
with yeah, it is exciting, like how you really feel like you're immersed into a different world,
really?
right?
Okay. For me,
Yeah, for me.
my VR experience, I was pretty underwhelmed. Cause like yeah, it's cool, but the only part of your immersion is like through your eyes, right? Like your hands still feel like in their real world. Like else which isn't your eyes are still out in the real world. So it feels like you're in like sort of like limbo. You're like in between both worlds.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's really underwhelming.
if you're conscious that you're still in the real world, there's like a separation, right? Because let's say you're probably in virtual reality, you're walking in an empty road, but all of a sudden you hit your face on the wall, right? So I think
Yeah,
what's more important if when it comes to virtual reality is when what is around your surrounding, right?
yeah.
Because it must probably be an empty room or for something that you can probably feel really immersed in yourself rather than just your mind and eyes.
Yeah. Because right now, in order to make like legit, like really good immersion, you need to somehow make the entire body a part of the virtual reality, not just like your eyes and your mind. Your entire body
Mhm.
has, like, if you want to go somewhere cold, your body needs to feel cold, right?
Yeah.
But not in like a dangerous way.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's not like I feel like I guess my standards are pretty high because more like a lot of people the experience with VR is like, whoa, this is so cool. I can see this even though I'm not there. But then like people like me, I'm like, it's okay. Uh it's a bit underwhelming. I would prefer to actually feel my entire body in the experience. But who knows, man? Maybe 5 years in the future, this will be really sick.
Yeah,
But
I mean
right
they
now, I
right
can take
now,
it or leave it.
yeah, right now they're still trying to develop, how to
Yeah,
make it much more realistic.
yeah,
So it's pretty interesting how they're going to take up this opportunity and make something totally like mind blowing if
yeah.
possible.
There's this suit I saw online, where you sort of connect it to your headset, and then what happens, like if you're in a cold area, the suit gets cold. If you're in a muddy area, it feels muddy. If you get shot, you like actually feel like a hit on your chest. It's not like until you feel like a bullet wound, because I don't
Hmm.
think anyone wants to feel that. But it's like enough where you're like, oh wow, that's like I felt that, you know,
Yeah.
it like stimulated my brain a bit there,
Hmm.
so that's interesting. But I think there's still a long way. Like, I don't think we're gonna feel like the true potential of like the true capabilities of VR until like maybe 10, 20 years in the future.
Yeah, true. Well, with that, do you have anything else to add?
Not really.
Well, I guess that's it for this week, guys. It's just our opinion on what the future holds with the new metaverse.
I just want
Yeah,
to
go ahead.
clarify. We're just
We're not,
informing. We're informing on something we're interested on, so don't take it too seriously. I recommend doing your own research on the matter if you're interested.
yes. So you guys can follow us on TikTok and Instagram. You can subscribe and like our videos on YouTube. We're also available on Spotify and Anchor to listen to our episodes. So take care and goodbye.
Bye.